Welcome back to the second half of In the Mood for Mumby with your host Daniel Mumby. What you just heard was the sound of Casitas from Stamen Stigma EP. That was Girl. And guess what? They're right here in the studio.
Hey.
Hello guys, and we just blew the speakers with all your shouts.
Yeah.
No matter. So they're here for the next 20 minutes to talk about the record and their musical career, I suppose, if that's not too ostentatious a term. But
no, it's okay.
Since one of you has come in very dapperly dressed in a smart suit, I think it would only be fair that we introduce ourselves. So going from left to right, from my point of view, who are you? What do you play?
I'm Jack and I play guitar.
I'm Ed, I'm the drummer.
I'm Barney, I sing and play keys.
And I'm Felix, I also play the guitar.
And I'm Jamie and I play bass.
And for once that mic has started working, so that's very timely. So how did you guys all get together and how long have you been playing as Casitas?
Been together about 6 years now, haven't we? It's been a long time. We worked out the other day it was actually longer than the Smiths were together their whole career, so we were kind of scared by that. But
I was going to say, you're positioning yourselves quite high there, setting the bar.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Yeah. So, I mean, were you sort of gigging with other bands and they broke up and you get together, or what happened?
We're quite unique in that sense, in that we've had a stable lineup for the whole 6 years, and it was, for most of us, the first proper band that we'd been in, wasn't it?
Yeah,
So.
we started, we jammed a bit when me and Jamie started jamming, around the same time we started skating in a big group of us, and we kind of just, it went from...
How old were we? Like
16. Yeah.
16, yeah.
And we were just jamming together, and then kind of like we all were a crew of skaters basically, and then we wanted to record a song. We needed someone to record this. Our first song was called what was it called?
Victory.
Victory. Yeah, it was like an EP with 2 songs, Campfound Road Trip and Victory, and we needed someone to record it. And Felix, luckily, in the school was the only guy in our year who had a recording box. So basically, drafted him in to record this tune, and the next day he came in and was like, "Hey guys, I've got this. I've just laid this like lead riff down," and it like made the song like a whole load better. So basically, from then on, he was in the band.
Yeah.
Well, Felix, I have to say,
He's
kind of a dead ringer for Beck. I don't know if that's been.
That's a good. Thank you.
That's Tom O'Dell.
Yeah,
Tom
yeah.
O'Dell as well.
Yeah, slightly, but it's more the sort of slightly distant blonde look.
Yeah, I like that. Are you flirting with me?
So yeah, I mean, we're going to play another track from the EP very shortly. But tell us about the title of the EP itself. Why Stamen and Stigma?
Well, I mean, the kind of recurring theme throughout the record is girls and love and trying to kind of work out like what you're doing with girls, basically. And obviously, the Stamen Stigma is the female-male part of a flower, and our whole kind of look for the new EP was kind of to do with nature, and we wanted to be colourful and bright and attractive, and kind of so it all kind of seemed to work really well with the imagery we wanted to do and the way we looked as a band. It kind of all worked. That's kind of the main reason that we...
You were my garden playing football, weren't you?
Oh yeah.
I think I remember, and you
We were
just
doing keepy ups then.
looking at flowers,
Yeah.
jamming out
It's
names.
like all great art just kind of appears out of nowhere, doesn't it? So that was the same with the EP name. It just was suddenly there,
So
and it was
the
set.
artwork as well was the kind of we've been shooting all day with one of our friends, Felix McCabe, who's a photographer, and we were kind of trying to come up with like some ideas for like press shots basically. And the last shot of the day pretty much was which is now the artwork for the EP, which is just all lying on the ground with the cut up fruit all around us. And it was kind of one of those things that like it just clicked. Like we were all outside and we thought, actually, why not? Let's just try it. And then it was literally the shot that just stood out for the day. So that was obviously the artwork. But yeah, it's obviously Place and Dreams, a track you're playing in a bit. It's not really to do with girls at all. It's to do with trying to find your way in the world and kind of working out where you're supposed to be going, what direction you're supposed to take when there's so many things get thrown in your way and so many kind of confusing, conflicting ideas. So it's about kind of trying to work out your path, your journey. And very much influenced by the writings of Hermann Hesse, Siddhartha, which is a really great book about kind of it's kind of a sort of Buddhist kind of mentality about life and the journey of life, and it's all kind of to do with that.
Okay, but we'll come on to your influences a little bit more once we've played the track. I was just wondering though, because we've been talking about sort of fruit and kind of nature inspirations, and when I first heard Girl off the EP, my instant thought was Sweet Jane by the Velvet Underground, and of course Velvet Underground had that famous cover with the peelable banana that Andy Warhol designed. Were they an influence on you at all?
think they're an influence on everybody,
Popular
although
music in
whether
general,
or not you know that you've been influenced by them. I think in a more general sense, that's like if you ask us what our influences are, you can't pin anything down specifically, but certain sounds sort of meld their way in without a conscious process, I think.
Yeah, and also I personally, I'm a big fan of, and Jamie as well, we were talking about this earlier, like just beat poetry and kind of like the whole beat movement with Jack Kerouac and all that kind of stuff. And a couple of years ago, it kind of was very heavily in my mind, like what's life about and where it's supposed to be
What
going.
you're supposed to do.
Yeah. And so that's kind of a more kind of literary reference, I guess. But in musical terms, everything really. Last summer we were listening to Bombay Bicycle Club a lot.
I love those guys.
Yeah, man. The latest album is awesome. I just kind of like pretty much my stuff comes around.
For Places and Dreams, there's a lot of kind of sampling themes there as well. We haven't sampled anything that we haven't made ourselves, but it's using that kind of process of sampling things and sort of integrating that.
And also, that record was recorded and produced by ourselves, so we kind of, because we had complete control over what we were doing, we could kind of just decide on exactly what we wanted. So that song particularly was kind of very much like just completely natural and organic. We had a week or so, no, it was longer than that we were recording for. It was like 4 weeks we were recording for, and just came up with like whatever we wanted to do we could do, basically.
Well, we've talked about it enough. I think we should play it.
Yeah, definitely.
Here's Places in Dreams.
Hey, baby, just looked inside my mind, and I said...
Places in Dreams by Casitas, also from the EP Stamen Stigma, and the band are still with us in the studio. Let's talk about how you made that song, because that song I came across when it was on the Exeter Local Records sampler that was released about a month ago, and you were saying before we played it there was a lot of sampling involved, so talk us through the writing process with that.
Okay, well, basically, first thing that happened was Jamie, was it you and me, or you and Felix?
Me and Felix jammed out some chords at my house, and then we kind of took the idea to band practice with Barney there. And he was kind of we had kind of had the verse chords, and then Barney came up with a little bridge to the chorus, and then we kind of left it at that. And then Barney went away, I think.
Went away, and basically because we did it all
structured
ourselves,
it a bit. Yeah,
I had Pro Tools, so basically went home and used a lot of samples to kind of get it all to a place where we could
flesh it out
more.
yeah.
And so there's a lot. For instance, there's a lot of drum samples. There's a lot of kind of noises in there that were kind of natural noises from guitar and stuff. And it was a different process to how we usually write, because the song structure was pretty much set within a couple of weeks, and then it was like it kind of fleshed out over the next couple of weeks. And it was I knew the idea that I wanted to convey in the sense of the lyrics are about kind of growing up and leaving university. That's because that was what I'd just done. I was kind of working out what I wanted to do and where I was going, and so that's very much what the lyrics are about. And then it kind of it was a very natural kind of process.
I remember being at work. I was working, and you guys were practicing our little cake loft studio.
Oh yeah.
And then I came back, and you'd had pretty much like the drum track and the samples done.
Laid down.
Yeah.
And then you came out with this killer riff. Sorry, I just saw on the radio.
We apologise for that. We'll edit that out of the recorded version, which will be going up on YouTube.
But it was a killer riff. And
Cheers.
I think that was a worthwhile swear, wasn't it?
It wasn't that good.
without that, a lot of people I've spoken to said that without that riff it would be like a good song, but that riff made it kind of much more impressive.
Yeah.
And it was it just felt like a single, didn't it, straight away? We were really happy with the way it turned out, actually.
Just one observation I'd like to make. You're sitting next to the drummer who's being inordinately quiet. That's very
That's
unusual.
the drummer's job, though, isn't it?
We always say that the drummer is like the goalkeeper of the outfit.
So I'm still being quiet because they're just talking. The drummer's being quiet. Well, yes, says Felix. Yeah, I have 4 mouthpieces. Which it's
Well, when you're sitting next to the lead singer, it is hard to get a word in edgeways.
no, not at all.
Yeah, we've been playing sort of lots of early Pink Floyd in the first half of the show, and I have got a copy of Pink Floyd's Nick Mason's biography Inside Out, in which he basically lists a whole section of the bad drummer jokes that he used to get. And the one that he always quotes, it was the one when they got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which is the small boy who goes to his mum and says, "When I grow up I want to be a drummer," and his mum just laughs at him and says, "You can't do both."
Actually, I haven't heard that one.
I've heard that one.
We're off topic. So you mentioned about Stamen and Stigma being about, with the exception of Places in Dreams, which we've just discussed, being about relationships. Without wishing to name names or swear anymore in doing so, are they written from personal experience? Is it like one relationship per band member that goes into the songs, or what?
No, it's quite a lot of it's to me. But I mean, it's all like
It's no coincidence you're sat right in the middle.
Yeah, man. I mean, I like being the figurehead. I like being the leader. So I guess like it comes across that a lot of my stuff. A lot of my feelings is what gets put in the song because I've kind of as a lyricist, that's kind of how it works. But in terms of the songs on that EP, a lot of it's down to the last 2 years of my life and sort of people that I've met and girls I've met. And but I mean, for instance, we've got other songs that are about. One of our first songs from my first album was about Jack being incredibly annoying. And that's called Jack Does. It's basically just about Jack being a pain in the arse.
Which I am, by the way.
Yeah, and but there's no other stuff we've done that's like. I mean, it's not. We don't write exclusively about relationships, but just at that time there was a lot of emotion going around that kind of, and it made sense to write about that stuff. So that's why it came out on that record.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So sadly we're running out of time and we've only got you for 20 minutes and it's been a fantastic, chaotic experience. This is the most guests I've ever had in the studio at any one time.
Nice one.
You've done very well.
Thank you. So have you. There's two things I guess we need to ask. First of all, where can people get the EP? And second is, when are you next gigging? Because I, for one, want to really see you live.
Yeah. Ed.
Oh,
Go on, drummer.
okay.
Just
We're
leave him out when he's needed.
We're in all the normal places, so you can find us on iTunes, you can find us on Amazon Music, you can listen to our stuff on Spotify,
SoundCloud.
You can follow all of these links to it. Like, we're everywhere online.
If
Facebook,
you want to,
Twitter,
Twitter is @Casitas Band, and Facebook is facebook.com/Casitas Band.
Nice plug.
The website as well is just www.casitasband.com.
Where'd you get your name from, incidentally? I haven't asked that.
Felix.
It's a question we get asked a lot, and it's kind of my fault that we got this ridiculous name.
Your fault.
I'd like to try, just because I've remembered the stock sentence. It's a reference to
No.
a
Yes, nearly.
reference to a hacienda club in Manchester in the late 80s.
Something like that.
There we go.
I was gonna, because John Lennon, his technique is he got asked that question so much about the Beatles, and he used to make up things like a man came down on a flaming pie in a vision. So I think we should start doing that. We should start making up stories from now on.
Well, yeah.
John
It's
Lennon's
basically,
for an awful lot of
the first name that actually stuck, isn't it?
Yeah.
We went through a phase of like not really having a name, or not really able to like anchor down a name, and it was just the first one we were like, you know what, it's good enough. That was the kind of the period. Like, it's a good enough name, and we actually, now I'd say it kind of sums us up actually.
It means
Possibly change our name, like
We've grown into it,
yeah.
haven't we? Like it is us.
It's Spanish for little houses as well.
Yeah.
Right, that's quite
Just
nice.
in case you didn't know.
Okay. But you are wearing a t-shirt with Montego Bay on, so that kind of fits.
Yeah, man.
There you go.
There we go.
So, and the second question, like I said, is when can we next see you live?
Well, at the moment we're in the process of booking gigs for summer. We've got basically the next month or so is a bit kind of tricky because we're not all in the same place. But come, I think, middle of July onwards, we are securing gigs at the moment for a summer tour potentially. So it's kind of, at the moment we can't say really, but it's going to be July-ish time, and we'll be in Exeter again at some point. So definitely July or in August we'll be down here.
Superb. And in the meantime, we'll have to stick with the EP, which is
Great.
fantastic.
Yeah, cheers, man.
Thank you so much for coming in, Casitas. It's been fantastic. We will put an edited version of this interview up on YouTube, and then you can link to it via your Twitter feed. You can also follow me on Twitter at Mumby@movies, which will also give you all my film reviews and other cricketing recommendations. But we better get back into our Pink Floyd retrospective, because we're now getting into the long tracks, and we'll start with Sheep from Animals, which is my favourite Pink Floyd record. Thanks for coming in, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.